G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the lesser knowns and the players who are going to bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. This week doing things a little bit differently. Right now I've got Matty D'Sena in the studio. How you going, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. And later on I'm bringing in Kaes to recap our home league draft and basically just have a bit of a dig at each other's draft picks and stuff like that. But are all your leagues all done and dusted, drafts all finished, or are you still going with a few of them, Matty?
Nah, all done. We like to draft before opening round. That way no one gets an advantage over watching someone on Friday night or whatever. So, yeah, we're all done, ready to go.
Yeah, 100%. I actually would prefer to draft before any of the trial matches or practice matches because I reckon I'd have a leg up on my opposition if we did it that way. But, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I would have Ben Hobbs in my team. I wouldn't have lost him to someone else.
Yeah, exactly. So, if no one saw a big score or something like that coming out, it might have been a bit better for me. But doesn't really matter. We can only do with what we've got. It's been a big week for me. I had the Shiva draft yesterday, which was good fun. Very happy with my team. I actually put a tweet out before. I ended up getting Bont in the fourth round.
Jeez.
It was like pick 30 something, and I'm not sure if it's too late. I was a bit baffled as to why he was still there. And you're like, am I missing something? Like it's 6 weeks.
No, it's only a calf though, I think.
Yeah, you might be able to come back sooner. And I feel
Green's back.
Yeah.
Already.
And I got Flanders in the fourth round as well.
Yeah, wow.
No, sorry, third round, and then Bont in the fourth. So
it's a very good draft.
Yeah, it felt like I got almost like four first rounders with my first 4 picks. Well,
you'd be happy with any of them with your first pick. And
exactly. So
snaggled them up. Yeah, I got Tom Green we did like a 20 team draft, and I got Tom Green in the second round.
Yeah.
And I was pick 5, so pick 30. I picked 36, and I got Tom Green.
Yeah, all those injury affected players and stuff like that. So, and there was, I ended up taking 3 or 4 of them. So it's probably going to screw me at least round 1 because I think I took Kerno real late as well, with my last picked forward, I think. But take that every other week as well. So
week 1 might be a struggle, but the rest of them you should be right.
Exactly. So. I can make a comeback. Did that last year anyway with all my injured players. I have a bit of a history. But yeah, no, the Shiva was good fun. Ran flawlessly on keeper, as expected. It's so good on there. On keeper, they've got the Shiva hub now. It's like if you're part of the Shiva, you can actually just see all the teams, all the different divisions. Go have a look at all the leagues. It kind of keeps a leaderboard with every team in the competition as well, so you can see who the overall best team in Shiva is. And I think there'll be a knockout competition between the leagues and interleague and all that sort of stuff, which is going to be pretty.
I'm sure you'll see Geordie on there, mate. He's he loves it. So.
Yeah, no, it's good fun. But anyway, got a good keeper story actually to come out of this one. During the week, I was sent this message, so I'll kind of just read it as it was. But yeah, a guy that we know has a good story about keeper. They had their draft last Sunday, but I guess within 24 hours of the draft starting, they realised that they had their squad set at 22. They wanted them a lot bigger than that. They contacted the platform they were using, but got absolutely no reply. So they decided to do the draft, and they thought they'd just be able to fix it up afterwards. But they contacted the platform they did it on, but got no response from them. So basically, they contacted Keeper and basically explained the issue. Within an hour, Ryan Power had gotten back to him, explained how to kind of bring their league over, redo their draft, or actually import the picks they'd already done, and then run another draft on top of that so they could continue on and pick the rest of their league. So, that was a nice story that was sent through to me, and just kind of goes to show how hard Ryan works for his users and how much he can just kind of fix problems and stuff like that and make Keeper the platform that it is. So
yeah, that's awesome here. Ryan's a great bloke. I've had a few dealings with him on Twitter, so he's a good man, and to be able to just get that done, it's that feedback, and that's what you want in the community, someone that actually cares. Yeah. And I think those boys would probably stay with Keeper for the rest of the time they do drafts. Yeah,
that's it. Well, I've obviously got to deal with Keeper to spruik him on this podcast, but I feel like every kind of thing I've plugged, I haven't actually read out an ad this preseason. No. It's been just stories about how good the platform actually is and how it, has just accommodated for us hardcore fantasy nerds out there. But then for me, the biggest thing is every fantasy platform is riddled with bugs. it's how much they can like fix them and sort them out and make the platform more enjoyable than it is frustrating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there's constant updates from Ryan.
Yeah.
There's always things going on. Even though opening round, the stuff that happened with, Essendon and Gold Coast, straight away he put it out a response saying they'll be sorted tonight.
Yeah, all that
Whereas
sort of stuff.
Other platforms maybe just, it's going to be a longer update, or maybe there's no update till next year. So
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, awesome to see. All right, and we also have a bit of a deal with the SC Rings, Supercoach Champion Rings, with giving away 2 rings. And the time has actually come to draw them ahead of round 1. So if anyone was at the live show last year, we had this thing called the Wheel of Names, and everyone's obsessed with me spinning the wheel because of the chants. And I think everyone had a few beers and everyone started chanting spin the wheel over and over again just for fun.
The wheel.
So anyway, I loaded every member's name into the wheel. There's over 1,000 people here, and I think I almost broke the wheel. So hopefully it actually works here when I click it, because it's looking very, very buggy on here. But when I click the wheel, it's going to spin. It's going to draw. I got to draw 2 winners of these Supercoach Champion rings. They're AFL fantasy ones, and so yeah, they'll be sent out this week. So the idea is, if your name comes up here, get in contact with me on any of the socials or via email, mail@keepleaguepod.com.au, and we'll organise it being shipped to you. But anyway, here we go. Spinning the first one. Hopefully it doesn't bug out. We can't actually see the names that are on there because there's that many in there, but it will pop up.
So many going around.
On the screen here. It's like trippy. All right, first winner, Travis Bray. Well done to Travis Bray. You have won a Supercoach Champion ring. So, get in contact with the page and we'll get that shipped out to you. And then let's draw one more. So spinning on the wheel. Again, it's creating a really trippy pattern with all the names spinning around on the screen. But congratulations to, here we go,
Bang.
Jacob Gruby, the other lucky winner of the ring. So I'll post a photo of it on socials so you can actually see what it looks like. But it's a pretty awesome product. We had one for our league last year, and it's a cool thing to wear around on draft day the year after you've won your league. So anyways, let's get stuck into
shoulders back, get the ring out.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, feet up on the table. Perfect. All right, let's get stuck into the opening round. What did you make of the weekend? Any surprises in the games or results? Or you're a Hawthorn man, so you'd be very happy.
Very, very happy with the Hawks. Tom Barrass, I'm in love with the man already. Just nothing against Sam Frost, but Tom Barrass is a serious upgrade just down back. And even Josh Battle was quite impressive.
In terms of a football, he's great. I don't know if I really like listening to Tom Barrass speak. I just get so confused as to what he's talking about.
He's a deep thinker. But,
too deep, I think.
Big fan though. He was. I think overall Hawks. We were still missing Deere and Lewis, so forward of the ball. I think there's still some improvements, but overall, I think Hawthorn would be pretty happy, especially going into Sydney, getting a win. So
absolutely. Well, we'll get stuck into that game. We'll look at the Sydney side of things first before we let you froth over the Hawks. The first one, Matt Roberts. There was some concern with that first week of scoring in the practice matches, but then he backed up his second week performance with 104 points on the weekend. I reckon we can probably tick him off as too good for the podcast, don't you think?
Definitely too good for the pod. Yeah. And also Blakey, so with McCartan going forward, Blakey's sort of more playing a bit more on a taller forward, which means he's maybe not getting as much footy, which means Matty Roberts is the main man. So.
Well, I think I saw that. Did Blakey take more kick-ins over the weekend?
But he just kept kicking at Matt Roberts.
Yeah, exactly. So
+6.
+6s are way more valuable than +3. So, we'll take that every day of the week as well. So, that was nice for his scoring there. One of the biggest players that has been talked about in the questions this week is Sam Wicks. So, of course, he scored 74 points, moved back to defence, but he's listed as a forward. What was your take on his performance?
Yes, he was on wizard the whole game, and he really shut Nick Watson down. I think Watson had 2 touches or 3 touches.
Didn't have a touch in the first half, I don't think.
And Sammy Wicks actually has genuine pace, and I think that role's actually going to stick for him.
Yeah.
Week to week, whatever his matchup's going to be. Not sure in regards to scoring. Yeah. But he had 17, 18 touches and a couple tackles, and wherever Watson went, he went. So... he'll play that role. Maybe he'll be some weeks it's a streamer and you put him on, and other weeks maybe not. But I think he's definitely locked in that best 22
because it was like a defensive role, and I feel like he was kind of like Watson's a fair dangerous target for them, so the ball comes to him quite a bit. I feel like he was late to the ball maybe a little bit and then kind of used his pace to kind of work off of him a bit more.
Definitely.
I wouldn't be like super confident on like a 74 each week, but you might get yourself a 65 average, 65, maybe 70 max, I reckon, average forward out of him, which can be handy.
Definitely as a forward. Deeper leagues, if you playing him as an F4, F5, like it's, you just ride that wave, and I think he's going to be pretty solid overall.
Yeah, definitely. Angus Sheldrick only had the 32 points. It was pretty disappointing. He had the 41% CBAs as well. So he was given a decent go. Do you think it was more of an outcome in terms of the result? Swans didn't play that well, or do you think he's kind of not quite at the level to be an AFL midfielder just yet?
No, I think he's got the ability, definitely. He had the role for sure. So I was watching his CBAs early in the game as well when it was on the line. All the Hawthorn midfield of like Newcombe, Day and Warple, they're probably one of the better mids groups like going around, Nash as well. So maybe a little bit overall, but that hasn't played AFL for, I think, since 2023. He missed all last year.
Yeah, true.
And then he cut his eye open, and then after that he got subbed out straight away. So whether he got subbed out because he was playing bad, or maybe they just wanted to make a quick change because they knew he was going to strap him up.
Yeah.
I think, it's great to see the role, but with them losing, I'm not sure if that's going to be consistently. Maybe he's going to be in and out of the side a little bit.
Anything else you noticed from a Swans perspective in this game?
Yeah, the big one would probably be Chad Warner. He only had 4 CBAs in the second half. So James Jordan went and tagged Will Day in the third quarter.
Yep.
And then from there, Chad Warner really didn't get a CBA. And I think he had like 45 or 46% time forward or something for the game.
Yeah.
So probably maybe DPP watched a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you could probably say that.
Mix.
Could you say that about some of the Hawthorn midfielders as well? Because like a
Definitely.
lot of those guys are rotating forward
Day
as
and
well.
Newcombe spent a fair bit of time forward, then swapped on the ball.
Yeah.
And I think Warple had a little bit there before he obviously got injured. But yeah, Chatty Warner definitely. I think he kicked a couple of goals, looked great. Heaney didn't really do much. Heaney was tagged by Nash.
Yeah.
Which I think was just week to week.
Yeah. Plays that defensive role.
But if Warner can kick goals, you know what I mean? He's a star. So.
Yeah. And then we'll move on to Hawthorn now, but that's another thing. Yeah, I noticed as well. A lot of those Hawthorn guys, like the first clearance would come out, and you'd see like Newcombe standing in the pocket, all ready to crumb and that sort of stuff. So definitely starting forward, which is what you need for the DPP stuff. It's whether they get that 35%. I think keeper you need 50% over 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
So
actual a proper position change. Just resting forward.
Correct. So it might be a bit more there, but in the AFL format, you might see a few more of those. I guess we're going to talk about Will Day. He's too good for the podcast.
Way too good. Although it was a standard, like everything that is Will Day was that performance where the first half was 3 goals, unbelievable. Yeah, then the third quarter got tagged and had a little bit of an injury, had like a couple of touches, and you're thinking, I was like, so he's going to win the Brownlow, then all of a sudden he's injured again. Yeah. And then in the fourth quarter he sort of did some nice things and fought through the tag. So
I was at a bar with your brother and Dos and Louis and a few of the other AFL fantasy creators, and so the game's a bit hazy after half time. But am I correct in saying he was on like 90 odd at half time?
Yeah, 95 or 96 at half time.
So he did slow up with that tag.
Yeah, so I think in the third quarter, I reckon he only got 3 or 4 points or something like that. I'd have to check that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
He got tagged and then he was cramping up and they get to give him pickle juice and he come off. He was on the bench for like 10 minutes. Yeah. And I was like, Will Day's gone again.
There was a lot of cramping over the weekend, so I think that's probably to be expected. My only concern, don't get me wrong, I think Day is going to be an absolute star of the competition. My concern is I think the blueprint's been laid to stop him in that third quarter, and it's something he's going to have to get used to working with a tag, because you look at that midfield, he's the most dynamic, like exciting, electric player in there. He's going to be the number 1 tag target, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes through a patch like where he has to kind of learn to deal with that.
100%.
But I think long-term for the future, like absolute star of the game. And because he's that big frame, he's almost like Bont-like, you know what I mean? Like he'll be able to shake those tags and stuff like that.
He's sort of a bit like aloof in the way. Like, Bont sort of just cruises around. He just does what, like Will Day's kind of the same. And all of a sudden he just pops up, he just snap one, or he's he's just, and Hawthorn midfield just works so well. And
I think the forward rotation is going to help with that tag as well. So like you'll be able to shake them off that way as well. Jack Scrimshaw was a player I noticed had 85 points. My concern preseason was like Brass and Battle in there. Might even push him out the side because he was playing a lot taller last year. Yeah. And I was trying to look at the Hawthorn defensive makeup, and my deductions were either Sicily suffers or someone like Jarman Impey really suffers. I was thinking Hardwick might go forward for a lot more as well. Yeah. And that was kind of my way to kind of work Brass and Battle into the team. But do you think Scrimshaw could actually be a player that benefits with like these guys coming in, given we might see Sicily forward and he might play that looser halfback intercept marker role? What do you think?
That loose third tall. Yeah, I was the same as you. I kind of thought Scrimshaw's spot on the side was definitely up for grabs. just because they've got so many options back there of like the same types.
Yeah.
So I thought the same thing, but yeah, definitely because Sicily was named on the wing, I think, and then started down back, and then Will Hayward went to him in the third quarter to do a job on him, and it sort of took him out of the game. So then Weddle went forward, and then Weddle and Swisley swapped in the fourth.
Yeah.
So the Hawks just have such a great mix of options, and they can fling blokes around. And I definitely think Scrimshaw's probably going to benefit because I feel like he's the only one that you can't really move.
Yeah, he's consistent. You're going to be consistent
plays
in his
down
role.
back, and Barras and Battle will probably take the tools.
Yeah.
And then I think Scrimshaw can cruise around and get those cheap kicks. He took a fair few kickouts as well. So
yeah, for sure.
But Sicily first half was almost as good as Will Day, I thought.
Yeah.
In terms of intercepting. So yeah, Scrimshaw's, I think he's the lock in the side, and then maybe Amon or Impey. I think definitely Impey, but then Giath as well.
Yeah.
Hawks just got so many of these running
Too much
halfbacks.
depth. I'm getting you too excited here.
Yeah,
We should stop talking about it.
Really razz up. Might book my grand final tickets now.
Cam McKenzie's the next one I want to talk about. He had the 75 points. Only had the 31% CBAs, I think it was. Is he going to be the biggest beneficiary from the Warple injury, do you think? A lot of people championing Ward out there as well.
Yeah, Ward's absolutely on the cards as well. But when Warple went down halfway through the second, Cam McKenzie went inside.
And did some nice clearance work and stuff like that as well.
He reminds me so much of Sam Mitchell, just sort of the way,
the way he looks and
just
moves.
the way he sort of operates. So he only had the 75 points. I think he had 15 or 16 touches, but I think 7 or 8 tackles, which is what I like to see from him. So I think the role is between him and Ward, like whoever wants to take it. Last year Cam McKenzie was doing really well leading up to that final, and then he got injured at training.
Yeah.
Ward come in, dominated against the Dogs in that final. So it's between them for that last spot, I definitely would say.
The thing my initial thoughts were maybe like Ward comes in onto a wing and then pushes someone to a different kind of role. But when I looked at their side, like I don't see Harry Morrison playing a different role. You don't see Massimo playing a different role given how effective he is out on the wing.
Yeah.
So like if Warple's going to come into the side, he's going to have to be a centre bounce attendance.
Has
mid.
to. Yeah, definitely.
That's my worry is like, is he going to be that guy, or do they just bump McKenzie up? Do they give Connor Nash more minutes in there? That's the only other thing as well. So
so Day and Newcomb will be the 1 and 2, and then it's between Nash, Ward, McKenzie for that next one. But even Dylan Moore's had CBAs as well.
I think McKenzie's a lock to bump up his numbers though. It's just the kind of Ward factor. I'm not 100% sold on whether they go with him just yet, or do they just, because they're rotating so many people through there, do they just give someone a bit more extra time in there? And they're probably a bit more damaging if they could play a Will Day in there longer, or
maybe Day doesn't come to the bench as much.
Yeah, exactly.
When he wants that rest, he goes forward for a spell, and then he can. Josh Ward has played wing in the past as well, so definitely one to watch. But my tip would be Cam McKenzie, purely because he's in the side already, and he showed on Friday night that they went to him for 2.5 quarters. So
yeah, I'm with you on that one. Any other Hawthorn players before we finally move away from them and stop you getting so excited?
Yeah, imagine if there was more than wasn't 2 games, we'd run out of time, wouldn't we? So the only other one would be, I'd say, Connor McDonald. I'm a big fan of Connor McDonald. I rate him really high, but he only had 38 points on the weekend, so maybe potentially to do with SCG being small, but 24 points in the last quarter when I saw he got moved up to a wing.
Yeah.
But he had 12 minutes on the bench in the first as well. So, Wizard didn't score well, Ginnivan didn't score well.
Could that be something to do with those forward rotations kind of keeping him out?
A lot of the same types, and maybe Day and Newcomb are taking that spot in the pocket, so
that's
he's rolling up. But just something I saw, and maybe it's SCG's just too small for those high forwards that roll up, get marks, and
that's the thing. Like, especially we see it in the classic world because you're going to get those price bumps for those first few weeks. But in the keeper league and draft world, you've kind of just got to everyone has bad performances. Especially early on in the season as well. Like when you're not fully 100% like match fit, all that sort of stuff, you're going to have some anomalies in there. So you kind of got to have to cool your jets a little bit, or just not worry as much.
Chase down the lizard, so he might have been absolutely gassed for the rest of the game.
Actually, that'll probably do it.
Yeah, definitely would.
All right, let's move on to the GWS versus Collingwood game. First up, Lockie Ash.
Absolute star.
I've been calling his breakout all preseason. Like, it's happening. I might even clip up my video that I made, I think, in December or something, and just say, I told you so at the end of it.
Just let people know. I've been saying to Geordie all summer, because Geordie owns him in our league. I was like, what do you want for him?
Yeah,
do you want
trying to get
anything?
him. Yeah.
Jordy's like, oh, I want Nick Dacos. I'm not. I was like, well, mate.
Geez, you take Ash over Nick Dacos after the weekend.
Yeah,
but
definitely. Yeah, Star halfback roles his. Obviously,
Yeah.
Whitford's down there as well, but
yeah, with Perryman gone,
Yeah.
and then you got Whitford, obviously, but Perryman gone probably just leaves a few more points for them to kind of collect
definitely
and be that distributor.
the way they want to play, that they don't really chip as much, but they just run in waves and they get those marks and they overlap and they run, and it's just so good to watch. It's good for fantasy. So
yeah, and then the other one, Sam Taylor had 118 points. I think that's a tip of the cap, but like his marking ability means he can put up big scores in the right kind of circumstances, like because he'll just pluck everything that comes his way in defence. Like he's not the worst key defender to have on your field, is he?
No, definitely not. It reminds me of those kind of, Wilkie and sort of McGovern, those kind of guys that they play, and they stream them each. They're good for 70s and 80s, and he was awesome.
Yeah,
like, heaps of marks, and then they switch the play through him all the time.
Yeah.
Big fan of him.
As the game was starting, I said on the Shiva group chat, I said, whoever kicks first goal, I'm going to draft next up. And then it was Sam Taylor. Kicked first goal. I was like, God damn it. So I didn't end up doing it. We chickened out.
You were thinking maybe Cadman or Toby Green or something like that.
But I should have picked him in hindsight. Anyway, not that this week's score would count. So it's probably wise to let him slip. But yeah, don't want to be too reactionary. Finn Callahan, 110 points. Do you think he looks ready to take it to the next level this year?
Absolutely, ready to go. Got massive bulk in CBAs as well, so playing a lot more inside.
Do you think that's like a Tom Green, or if at all, do you reckon you'll see them as like the 1-2 punch come, the time that they're available?
1-2 punch. So Josh Kelly got a bump in his inside time as well, so I think that's going to be Tom Green. So, and then he'll just roll back out to the wing, Josh Kelly. So yeah, Finn Callahan looks ready to go. That goal where those second, third efforts where he overlap, run, then kick that goal on the run. So I think he's finally starting to break out.
Yeah. Callan Ward, 88 points. He's what I call the stuffers, the guys that you put at your M7 when you're struggling for someone, and he'll still probably get you 70 to 80 points most week. I was real concerned. We talked about this last week, but like he was supposed to retire at the end of the year, but he stuck around to try to win a premiership with GWS. And his whole family's left him, moved back to Victoria or whatever. So like my thinking was like, because GWS have so many injuries to start off with, they're going to have a real shaky start to the year, and they might even fall away a bit this year. And then my thought was like, well, Callan was probably going to retire after, round 5, round 6 or something like that, and move back. And I was a bit concerned about him, but the way GWS played yesterday, like I honestly didn't see that coming, to be honest.
No,
I thought Collingwood would be a lot better.
I thought Collingwood would be better as well. Although I think early days, Collingwood, I think quarter time was like 3 goals 4 to 1 goal 6 or something. So if Collingwood had kicked straight and maybe they kept themselves in it, and then, but Giants in that second quarter, they just put a couple quick on the score, but their pressure was elite.
Absolutely blissed them.
So
and then they're going to bring 3 or 4 quality players back into that side later.
Without Briggs as well. Obviously, he went down with that injury. So I think Lockie Keefs could bring you the name. Unless Nick Madden might come in, that's obviously another one. But
someone was very opportunistic in the Shiva draft. As soon as he went down, I think his next pick was Nick Madden.
Cow Ward on that wing. I don't think he'll get any inside time.
Nah.
It'd just be purely outside, and then, heaps of marks, and the way they want to move the ball is going to be...
It's essentially what they've done with like Steele side bottom, what they've done with Travis Boak. They push him out to the wing and kind of preserve them a bit.
Just let him run a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to get that same role. Toby Green had 82 points, had 24% CBAs as well on the weekend. Is the old Toby Green back?
Man, he went back with the flight.
I saw that. It was mental.
Just head up, like a headless chook, just running back.
I thought he was going to die.
Yeah, I know, especially after Briggs just got cleaned up. But he looks back, and he looks, maybe because there's no Hogan and no Stringer, maybe he had some Stringer midfield time or potential like that. They're trying to put that role, but...
my thought was they might be in a rotation, those guys.
Yeah, definitely. So, but he looked, you know what I mean? Like, you can tell it's the eye test when he looked like he was...
When he had the ball in hand, he looked comfortable, he looked fit, he could run with it, he could carry, like that sort of stuff. And then he's still dangerous up forward as well.
So he looked on, and then that little CBA just released him a little bit, just to get him up the ground, and he's around the footy, and you want your best players around the pills. So,
and I think if like GWS are going to be a premiership threat, he's going to be up and about. Like,
definitely, and they'll get a few cheap goals, and
exactly.
They pump Collingwood by 50 points. So
So I'm Toby Green. I like him as an option. He went first round in our redraft, top up draft.
Same in ours actually. I dropped him.
Well, I wanted to pick him up. I traded my first round pick for McRae, so that's all right. But then I wanted to pick up Toby Green. I was hoping he'd get to my second, but he went to in the first round.
Yeah, I think he went pick 11 or 12 or something.
Yeah,
for us as well,
same actually. Yeah. Any other GWS players you like the look of?
I wouldn't say I like the look of. I'm a bit concerned on Coniglio.
Yeah. Looks a bit washed, doesn't he? He has had an interrupted preseason.
Yeah, I know. And maybe they're like with Ward, they're trying to just keep him outside a little bit. But he was starting on the wing. And then as soon as Briggs went down and Weir came on, he went straight to the wing. Cogs went forward.
Yeah.
So
and Weir was all right when he came on.
yeah,
Did a few nice things.
I love the way he kicks footy.
Yeah,
Weir. Just that raking left foot. But yeah, Cogs. I'm just a bit worried about just him really. Just maybe he's a bit older and whatever. And
yeah, I saw a fade coming from him this year. Like I felt like they might need to lean on him more, given that there's the Tom Green's out and that sort of stuff. But they kind of went a different approach and doesn't really. Yeah, they still won by 50 points. Yeah, so
maybe it could be he's because he had that face and shoulder and he's had a fair stuff going on over the preseason. So it could just be easing him back into it.
Yeah.
But if he gets DPP, then that's obviously handy. But if he's you look at Cal Ward got 88 on the wing. So if he can play a role like that and contribute, then he's still going to be solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just a bit of a flag and.
There's another player that everyone was kind of talking about in the preseason was James Leake. What'd you make of his game and role in this and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, and he had 54% time on ground.
Yeah,
leaky. Low. So I don't know. He looked good in the he kicked a goal. Looked good in the preseason. I thought he got like 6 or 7 CBAs total. So and they were in the first half when the game was still close. So not like when they're rolling them out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he missed the fix it a little bit. Can play forward, can play back, can play mid. Only scored the 40. So
because he's listed as a defender in fantasy, isn't he? So that's where he played previously. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Or there's going to be a few people that are a bit...
I think probably a sub-watch as well if Tom Green's back, maybe because he's so versatile, he might be sub.
Yeah, definitely.
A fair bit. I picked him up in our league, so I'm obviously hoping he gets some inside time or some midfield time. But, just probably one to watch just for me, like a little flag on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Just see how he goes.
Collingwood, there's not much to really talk about. I think probably one I didn't write down... Reece McInnes' role looked nice.
Yeah, he was down back.
And as listed as a forward, didn't really put up the scoring. I think the only one that can really hold his head high is probably Harry Perryman, debut for the new club with the 90 points there.
Yeah, he looked good.
And he only had the 3 tackles as well, so I reckon he should bump that up. I reckon.
Definitely. It's pretty low. I looked at the numbers today. It was Collingwood only like 30 tackles or something for the game. And
pretty lackluster.
Yeah, I think it's just like a lot the way both teams want to play with that mark chip, hold the ball off rather than that contested footy. So those numbers will go up when you play different games. And it's hot as well early. Like it's pretty free flowing. And once it gets to winter, it normally slows down and those big bodies sort of take over.
Yeah, that's correct.
But yeah, Perryman, he looked good. And if you've got him, he's got inside mid-time.
Yeah, every player's going to have him in classic, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Anyways, we might bring Kaes into the studio now, and he'll help me recap our keeper league home league draft. Cool. And then we'll move on. The questions. Kaes has been kind enough to join me in the studio to recap our draft. How you going, Kaes?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. How did you find the overall draft experience? Like the day where the location, the host, I guess, and then also the keeper platform. Using that?
Well, location cannot be beat. Poolside, little dip beforehand, a couple of freshly cooked Kranskis on the barbecue, cold beers.
It was Kransky and chorizo. There was 5 different types of sausage, I think.
It was a real sausage fest.
It really was.
No, it was a fantastic day. Obviously, I was a little bit... I've kind of traded out a few picks. I've got 3 first-round picks next year. We'll talk about that if we want to later. But so I was kind of going into this draft a little bit more relaxed. Team's not really contending, so just kind of wanted to get a few players who I think not necessarily might pop this year, but potentially could be keepers, I suppose, for next year. So a little bit more speculative, I think, this year.
And how'd you find the keeper platform? I don't know if it was just me, but the draft seemed to go really quick in comparison to previous years.
It did. No, I love the platform. Obviously, I actually just drafted on my phone because I thought, I'm going to relax. And I'd done a slow draft with another keeper league. I'm in with my brother-in-law and a few of his mates, and just obviously the notification you get on your phone. I think that's just like such a simple...
So simple.
The push notification is such a simple thing, but it's so good.
It's changed everything. Like just trades and everything within the app. And then, getting a notification when it's your pick. All that sort of... And there's an injury. And then I think we'll get subs and stuff like that.
The absolute... Like even just on the app, clicking the player, seeing that their last 5 years of data average-wise is awesome. Their last year's stats. Yeah, it's a really, really great platform. I think the only thing I would say, and I think Ryan's been told this probably a million times, is just... For the rankings in your queue, if you can actually type in a number just to push a player up towards the top, but I'm sure that will come next year, no dramas. But I did draft on another I've drafted on all platforms actually this year.
Yeah.
Did the slider draft, which was good fun, and,
right.
and did one on fantasy as well. And I will say that Keeper was by far the best user experience.
And I know that's an honest opinion because you would never do anything.
No,
just
I like to,
like a paid thing. You're not involved in the partnership really here.
I've got nothing involved in this. I think. I think shout out. I know this is a Keeper podcast, but I think AFL Fantasy did do some good improvements, and it was better than what we probably had last year. But I think just the speed of how everything went with Keeper, it was the best user experience. So,
I feel like it's just been built for the user.
Yeah,
and it's kind of mainly built on user feedback, and everything's tweaked on user feedback as well, so it's going pretty well. Anyways, I'll talk about Keeper enough on this podcast. Let's go through our draft picks. So I guess to preface how our league works, we keep 12 players each year, and then I've brought in a new rule as the commish, the dictator commish, as people like to call me.
You have been.
We've added in 2 under 50 players, so players that have played under 50 games. And we kind of got a bit of a hangover from the old rules. I didn't want to sweep the rug out and upset people too much. So we used to have a rookie list, and the reason why I got rid of it is I just got sick of keeping names on a spreadsheet and stuff like that. I want to bring everything into Keeper and not have to worry about external pressures and things like that, or people thinking about things that are outside of the game. So we had a bunch of rookies that were on a spreadsheet somewhere, and I allowed people to keep up to 4 of them for this season, but then there's the only rookies are under 50s from now on. So it kind of ended up with like some people kept, their 12 and then the 2 under 50s and then only 1 rookie. Some people didn't have an under 50. Some people didn't really have any rookies they wanted to keep. So it kind of created a mismatch of like list sizes and pick numbers and stuff like that. But what's awesome is just Keeper allows for that so easily in comparison to some of the other platforms.
I jumped in the pool about 10 minutes before anyone else did because you guys were finishing off your draft.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of cashed out. So it was, it was easy.
All right. So here are my picks. So I traded out my first round pick to Kaes. So I got Jack McRae back for that. And it probably meant I had to drop someone like Xavier Dersma or trade him at least, but I ended up trading him. So it wasn't the worst result there. So I started from round 2. So Joel Frazier is the first player I took, and then Bailey Humphrey, Judd McVie, Will Phillips, Connor Iden, Nick Watson, Scott Pendlebury, Brady Hoff, Liam Reedy, Sam Powell-Pepper, Joe Berry, Saad El Hawley. That wasn't even a joke. Taylor Walker, Nat Fife, and it's Taylor Goad or Tyler Goad? Yeah, Tyler Goad from North Melbourne. So I reckon this is how it works. You're going to ask me what I thought was my best pick, and then you can tell me what you thought my best pick was, and then both back and forth.
Yep.
So my best pick, I reckon Joel Frazier. I reckon to get. My draft, I'm a bit cheeky. So with my rankings and my queue, I guess, what I tend to do beforehand is I will amalgamate my personal ranks with the ADP from the mock draft simulator. And I did kind of have the community rankings in there, but not as weighted as highly. Then that spits out a list for me. And then I write a piece of code that automatically updates that to my queue in Keeper.
Right.
This is not with any help from Ryan Powell. He actually had a laugh because he got
hacking his site.
Well, he got a request saying someone was hacking his site and sent it to me.
Wow. Okay.
In the background, I said, relax, it's just me.
Good way to off-put a new friend.
No, he's fine with it. It's not really hacking. All it is like using the program itself and kind of using the console in the browser to kind of manipulate the front end to do something automatically. Okay. It's not really doing anything to the back end, but he did get a server request because of it, which is funny. Why I do this is so I know my queue is really my thoughts of where I think players are going to go. And that's what I use it for more than anything. If I pick this player here...
So it's more about finding value in the draft.
Correct. Okay. So if I pick this player here, it's very unlikely knowing what the community does, what the mock draft simulator people have done, that this player is not going to be here by the next round type thing.
Got you.
So that's kind of how I kind of use my queue to kind of do that. So taking Joel Frazier as my best pick there in the second round, I was very surprised that he even got that far because of where people are taking him in the community and stuff like that. So that's why I think he's my best pick, even though it is pick 2. Going through my worst pick, I think it is there's probably 2 I can nail it down to, I think. I don't mind taking dud forwards like Nick Watson and like Joe Berry, because you
Warm
need
bodies.
forwards like that. You just need some players that are going to play later on your forward line. I think Liam Reedy is probably my worst pick, I reckon. Just kind of like when you think of like the composition of my pick, I've got Cherry as my number one ruck. I picked up Goat as the handcuff, and I'm fairly confident he's the guy from the preseason games I've watched. I'm fairly confident he's the guy to come in if any of them goes down. Maybe like Bryn Teakle is a chance or something like that, but they don't have ruck status, so it's not going to help me anyway. I felt like I needed Reedy just to kind of get a player that's playing. But then I actually looked at the injury report afterwards. I thought Darcy was out for way longer than he actually is, and it looks like he's going to be back by round 3. So I guess I'm banking on Darcy getting injured again for having a backup, but I've kind of got this sinking feeling, and it always happens to me when I don't take enough rucks into a draft, they'll get injured, and I would be ruckless for ages and bent over a barrel.
And that's what we were hoping you'd do.
The one positive thing about the keeper platform, it's just so easy to just throw away like your first round pick for next year and get a ruck in. Like it used to be a lot harder, I feel, to actually like organise that between you. And
I think that's the massive thing with me, especially. Like I traded a lot of picks in and around this draft and for next year, and I think if we didn't have the keeper platform, none of that stuff would have happened.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you can send that trade and be like, all right, well, that's what I'm going to get. This is how it looks.
And you see the notification pops up, you see it on the screen, and you go, oh, yeah, that's actually a really good pick. Whereas, like, if you have to go to an email and like, or to the WhatsApp, say, hey, I'm proposing this trade to you. Like, usually people are busy, like working, and they like, I couldn't be bothered thinking about it right then, and it doesn't look that good. But yeah, when you see it as a proposed trade, and you can see the player, and we kind of always had to organise pick swaps back because you couldn't go into deficit in the other platforms. Whereas this one, you can just be like fuck it, like I'll give away 3 picks and that sort of stuff.
It calculates that for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like, so that's my kind of thinking with a lot of these picks as well. Like there's players like Will Phillips, like I didn't really want that much because I got enough midfielders as well. Like I even went into the league with my keepers, like with one on the bench. Like I can't fit them all on my field. But I felt like he could be some value if he pops, and that he's kind of there for trade bait because I'm more confident in actually trading people away this year. So yeah, that's probably my best and my worst. What do you think my best and worst was?
Well, that's a good question.
They're all pretty good, I guess.
I would say the other way, but best. Look, I think Will Phillips will have a good start to the year, especially while Wardlaw's out.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good, he could easily be, your M6 or whatever we're playing.
Yeah, happy to get him in the 5th round there, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think that's a good value pick there. I think even get Scott Pendlebury round 8's not too bad. Like, you know what you're going to get.
75
break in case of emergency.
I'm hoping they shift him to halfback or something, and he gets DPP.
And the one I think, like, if Sam Pepper kind of gets back to that form, before his ACL, like he was actually going pretty well at the start of last year.
Yeah.
I know there's a few more new players in the Port lineup and how it all kind of works out there, but like round 10, I think definitely worth a punt.
Yeah. With that one as well, that was before the Port game had happened as well.
Yeah, so we drafted before that
just
Port
before
Saints
that
game.
Yeah, and then he put up like an 86, which made me pretty happy.
We'll talk about that later with my picks. But I think you went way too early on Judd McVie, Ray, in round 4. Like, I don't like he's got an injury out for most of the year. I don't think he's on anyone's radar.
He's only out for a month.
I don't think he's on anyone's radar apart from maybe Pugs, who's a Melbourne supporter.
Nah, I
reckon he could have gone a lot further down. I was shocked when you took him that early.
In the mock draft simulator, and just all preseason, he's supposed to be like the halfback distributor this year because they couldn't get Dan Houston with Rivers moving into the midfield. And if you watch him at the end of last year, he was their best ball user off halfback. So, that's the kind of thinking behind that one. And I thought maybe with the injury he might go a little bit later, but I knew as soon as I took him, I heard Pugs, the Melbourne supporter, on the online meeting, the call. He just went, fuck, as soon as he went. So, I knew that was going to be his next pick there as well. So, I feel like that's where he's going to go. I feel like everyone's worried about the injury, but, it said 2 months or whatever, but that was at the start of February. And the injury report says 4 to 6 on there. So, and I need defenders as well. And I think he's going to be... He might take a while to get back, but that's why I'm not as high on Bowie is because I know someone like him's coming back. And Bowie's been scoring and playing really well in the preseason as well. So I still think he's the kind of guy before him. So that's probably mine there. But I understand, because you are picking an injured player and I'm short on defenders as well. And I've kind of wasted a pick on an injured guy there. But I think when he comes back, he could really... he was one of my tips for a breakout season this year.
So. In the pudding. And, if you like a guy, sometimes you've got to go early on him too.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. All right, let's get on to your picks here, Kaes.
Yes, so my first pick, which was Heff's pick.
My pick.
I took Charlie Kerner with my first pick. Then I took Marcus Windhager, Mitch Owens, Jack Ross, Jackson Mead, Darcy Jones, Josh Worrell, Braden Campbell, James Leake, Corey Wagner, Tyler Sonzi, Bailey Williams from West Coast. Is it Angus Hasty? Nick Newman, Will Lorenz, and Cooper Hines. So a bit of a mixed bag there.
All right, who do you think was your best pick?
I don't know if there's a genuine standout pick.
Because they're all terrible.
Because they're all going to pop this year. I was very pleased to see Corey Wagner score on the Sunday game, and I was watching something pre the draft, and all the captains were saying, who's your breakout contender this year? And someone said Wagner, and I thought, well, round 10, why not? And I think he busted out 100 on the weekend, and if he can kind of lock down that role, Young's kind of moved into the midfield, so you've got Clark and, Ryan's kind of a bit older. Maybe he could be a distributor off the halfback there. But then for me, I'm kind of looking ahead to next year already. So I think, I know he's a bit older and coming off an ACL, but I think Nick Newman at round 14's not too bad.
That's about the time I was going to try to get him.
Yeah. And if he plays a couple games at the end of the year and is kind of back to his best.
Well, I don't think he played this year, will he?
Oh, well, there's a rumour he's pushing to play July, which I don't believe. But if my defenders are a bit short on next year for keepers, he's an easy chance. So for me, it's a bit of a risk-free pick at 14.
Yeah, you're keeping him next year.
Yeah,
for sure.
My worst pick, probably Marcus Windhager. For me, he kind of fits that breakout mould. 21 midfielder, potentially some opportunity at the Saints. Obviously, didn't have a great game on Saturday after I picked him in round 2, which hurts. But look, a slow burn this year. If you look at my team, I'm pretty light on in good quality midfielders. So that was kind of part of my thinking too. I need someone who could potentially be a 90 average mid, and for me, that he just at that point kind of.
Do you see him even getting a midfield role this year? I don't at all.
The other thing is. They've brought in McRae, but McRae's no spring chicken. Steele's no spring chicken. He's still a very good player. They're going to have to think about the future at some point. That's kind of was in the back of my head. And then while I'm quite keen on taking Charlie Kerner, I think he's going to be probably a top 10 forward, top 15 forward at least.
Yeah.
Only got a few weeks left of his injury, hopefully, and would be a keeper for me next year in that forward line, which is weak for me too. I'm not sure if I missed the trick. Because Sam Layla was still in the pool, so he's the one I've kind of when I've gone back and assessed it, should have I taken Layla? That's the only time I've gone. What should have I done in hindsight? If
I still had my pick and I had pick 11, I probably would have taken Kerno around that mark just because you get a 75 average forward. I actually probably would have taken Toby Green at that pick because I'm contending. I needed a good 75 to 80 average forward. From what I've seen in the preseason as well, it looked like they'd push Green up a little bit more, and I think with the injuries to their midfielders and stuff like that, with Canelio bound to get injured again as well, they might use him just a little chance, especially because they got Stringer in the forward line, even though he's not playing now. But I probably would have gone Green there, but I don't think I probably would have gone there. I think it's probably makes less sense for you because you're going to be nowhere near a flag this year.
But he's still only 27, so he's still and key forwards.
Yeah, I think Lawler would have been the better pick for you there. For sure.
And I think that's probably in my hindsight pick. But some of the other picks, like Jack Ross has got opportunity this year in the Richmond midfield.
Yeah,
Mead will have a good couple months without Butters.
Yeah,
Darcy Jones has been playing well. Braden Campbell's another one who's got opportunity now with injuries at Swans. So hopefully one or two of these guys pop and could be a keeper. So
the issue with a lot of your picks, I don't see long-term ceiling and roles that kind of get them into positions where they are going to score well from fantasy. I'm not convinced Windhager's going to be, if he's going to be a midfielder, he's going to be a tagger. And he might play along the half-back line, and that probably will be a little bit better, but I still think he's going to end up defensive. Owens, I don't see him going in the midfield anymore. I see him just being used as a third tall forward.
But he could be a 75 average forward.
75, yeah, maybe.
And that's what, he's 20 again, so
maybe.
But if you're looking at, say Windhager's a bad pick.
More so that they're going to be in guys that you're going to be able to fit into your 12 at the end of the year as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I took the risk to pop. But if you're talking about the picks that went after Windhager, you're talking Tracy, good forward, same as, what probably Owens could be. Ryan Burton, no thanks. Davidson, unproven. Jai Clark, slow. Jared Berry, just a jag. Xavier Lindsay, who knows? You took Frazier then, and then Elijah Hewitt.
I think Tracy probably would have been the best pick there because he can be around that.
But I'd take in Kerno that first pick. So
you're
bringing in two key forwards, probably not the smartest player.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't see a lot of when I look at your players, I don't see a lot of avenue to be like an elite scorer.
All right, can we clip this and then we'll replay it at the end of the year? We'll see how many I get.
Now, I did a bit of a blind ranking on our Discord thing. So I posted your list of picks and my list of
So
picks.
this is where you just want to pop me.
And who had the better draft hand. And it was overwhelmingly Hoofers in favour.
Woof, you left for your Millencolin concert. And
after the
general
draft.
consensus after the draft was that you absolutely blew your draft.
I think you guys like to stir me up. That's all it is, because the community thinks very, very differently. In fact, it was so one-sided. It was about 98% Heff.
Can someone please give me some rationale?
Do you want me to go through it? So, my picks? No, because like Frasier halfback role with no Dale to start off with.
No. Like, why is yours so much better than mine? Would be.
I think the thing with mine is that mine have got like roles that are going to lead to good fantasy scoring in the future. Like, not all of them. Like, I never see Nick Watson being a huge scorer, and like Pendlebury and all that like are going on. But if those like and even the guys that like are on the outer, like El Hawley, if he comes in, then he's got a fantasy friendly role. You know what I mean? Whereas like a lot of your guys are already playing and not in fantasy friendly roles and don't really have like avenues to go further. So like, I think yours is a safe pick. Like you're going to get guys that are going to play and get you between 60s and 70s and stuff. But I don't see like any
Can't wait. Can we do a little review at the end of the year?
Yeah, like, same as last year. Did we review last year's? Do we want to do that?
But I actually think we'll have drafted better than you.
All right, whatevs. But yeah, the overwhelming consensus.
All of the consensus will be eating their words.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so looking at the draft, let's look at some of the biggest reaches overall. For mine, I think yours was the biggest reach with Windhager in the second round. But then apart from that, like second round also Ryan Burton went as well.
Dylan Shiel in the first round's not a reach.
I reckon that's fine because of his role. He's playing that half-back role. I do think he's
will
like
get dropped.
I do think he's a bit of a.
He played 8. He's like, who was last year's everyone or the
No, but his 8 games. His 8
around?
games were he came in halfway through the season and played for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but
which he came back into favour.
He wasn't good enough.
I don't know. Like he wasn't good enough at the start.
He can't kick.
But they worked. Yeah, that's the other thing. Alex Sexton's the guy you're thinking of.
No. The other guy that got delisted.
Burton.
No, former Port guy.
Oh, sorry. No, not Burton. What's his name? Rolly Bonner.
Yeah, everyone loved him, and the Oracle was right. Oracle said he's no bloody good, and everyone's like, "Nice, great, he's got the role."
He was awesome for Classic.
This is
he
Shield.
Made so much money.
Shield 2.0. So
everyone thought that was a Classic opinion though of yours, which was very wrong.
Well, it was right. He was,
but it was for draft. For draft, it was right because by the end of the year he was done.
no good.
But yeah, no. I think it's more of a Sexton where it's like he gets given a role to a certain point, but then like. I reckon there'll just come a point where they go, "Oh fuck it, let's just chuck Nick Martin back there because he's better on the boot," and then we'll bring in El Hawley and put him on
Roberts
the wing.
or there's so many better options. Like
Shield
might have 6 games and then he gets found out.
Yeah, I do think it's worth the punt with a roll because he will be high scoring, but I do agree that just like
by the time he gets his back status, he won't be playing.
Yeah, so in the keeper league and draft format,
it's a bad pick.
Yeah, I do agree. But like, I'd still probably take that risk over Windhager. And Ryan Burton as well.
Come on, Marcus, have a big year, son.
And Ryan Burton as well. Like, I'm not even sure if he's best 22 to go in the second round. I think that's really risky.
Definitely. Really potting Zanks here.
But only because we didn't see Finlayson really doing what he did. I'm not sure if that role is real either. But like, when I look at Port's backline, there's still 2 players to come into that. Oh, one definite, Zerk Thatcher. I know it's a different role, but that pushes someone else out of the fence.
The worst thing about this pick, Windhager looks worse in hindsight post Saturday.
Yeah, it does.
We drafted before the draft.
Did you watch the actual 2 games before, like the practice game and the other game?
Yeah,
of course you didn't. Like, there was no indication of a good role in those games either. You're going on like what should have happened at the start of last year and didn't happen. Yeah. And then, Jai Clark, I feel as well, second round. It's probably too early to it. Again, another guy who's probably not guaranteed. Although with Tanner Bruin maybe out, he might be a bit more in now.
I just worry about Clark. He just looks a touch slow out there. But,
I reckon they'll safer picks in the second round than Jai Clark. Some of the sleepers I really liked, and one of these is hindsight, Finlayson in the 14th round. I don't know where he plays this year, but if I've got a feeling he could be Asava, so what Asava was last year, which isn't great, but it just means it's like it is good for him because if he can play the third tall half back, so for example, last year we played Zerk Thatcher and Alira as our main 2 key defenders, and then Asava was always the third guy in there, but could go forward as well. I think if we play Finlayson there instead of Asava, he can be a more fantasy friendly kind of third tall across that half back, but then can also go into the ruck as the backup ruckman, plus can patch a hole up forward.
Yeah.
He's like ultimate. I just can't believe we didn't do this before. He is the better version of Asava Radaglia. I think.
Yeah, well, he's got
and-
a bit of like Westhoff 2.0 about
Yeah,
him too.
correct.
Yeah.
So I think that's not a bad
I
one.
don't know
It's
why
just-
all the Port supporters don't like Finlayson. It seems to be a lot of...
I think it's just because we've seen him as a key forward the whole time, and it's better to see him. We haven't really used him down back at all, and now I've seen it. I like
Well, that's
it a lot
where he
more.
played his best footy at GWS, which
But it
doesn't
wasn't
make any
fantasy
sense.
friendly though.
But it's where he played his best footy.
Yeah. The other one I like, got last round after the weekend anyway, Jack Billings. I'm more convinced he's going to be best 22 now. And he's on the wing, and every time he plays on that wing role, he scores pretty well. It's just whether he's kind of consistently playing games. But like St Kilda look really bad, and they've got a fair few injuries as well. So I don't mind that one in the 15th round. And I'm tooting my own horn here, but Leo Lombard in the 11th round, like he was sitting there for ages. Probably 3 or 4 rounds I expected him to go before I actually got him, because he's been playing seniors for years, this kid. And I know he's injured, but I reckon he would have been playing round 1 if he didn't get injured, and might not be the best fantasy scorer straight up, but the injury really helps our rules in our league, because that means I've got probably an extra year
You've got,
of the under 50s. He's
games.
not going to get over 50 games that quickly. So, yeah, I might even be able to keep him for even longer, and that he might even get an extra 3 years on my list type thing. So I just more tactically and more defined to our league that I thought that was a good pick. But yeah, are there any sleepers that you liked?
Yeah, just looking through, like, it depends if you're looking at longer term plays, like I just thought that the Camporelli twins went in round 9 and round 10.
Yeah.
Obviously, was it Ben who went better on?
Lucas was one
on
who
the
played.
wing.
Yeah.
And I think Ben's actually got a bit of a better
Ben's a better player.
Yeah, fantasy pedigree. So I quite like them around that time. Jack Hutchinson, who seems to have a nice wing role for the Eagles.
Yeah, no scoring though.
Yeah, but he's a forward. So
Yeah.
like for this year, round 12.
Yeah, true. But like how
round
did Campbell
12.
Chesser go last year? Because that's pretty much going to be
Campbell
the exact same
Chesser
scoring.
is, yeah, well,
Like he's going to score
it's concerning.
average 40s.
Yeah, look, I think it depends on what you kind of plan, like what your goal is. But no, I think Leo Lombard's a nice pick around that time of the current crop. But yeah,
The thing is,
nothing
we
else
both
that
kind of
stood
said our draft pretty much largely went how we expected it, especially in the later picks. I think went like everyone drafted pretty well. I think in our league
we
Like,
did. Yeah, like I was going through it, and I think some guys either nailed their first couple picks,
Yeah.
or they did well in the middle, or they actually topped up quite well back end. So yeah, as much as you want to pop my draft, I think I'm happy enough with it.
Yeah, I think you guys pot my draft is because you guys don't watch enough footy in the preseason to realise who's hyping up and who's not.
Yeah, but you love hype. Hype's not real
Well, it's
sometimes.
Worked for me last season, so I'm hoping it works.
Didn't win.
This season. Oh, I should have
You
won.
didn't win a
It
flag.
should have won. God.
Are you going to loophole this year?
Well, there's less chances to loophole. Like I said, the Premier did more loopholes than I did in the grand final.
But
so.
he won, so
Yeah, I know. So that paid off. The risk paid off for him. I just got unlucky. That's the issue. All right, Kaes, thank you for joining us to recap the draft. You happy with it?
I'm happy with mine.
All right.
Got to believe in yourself, Heff.
Yeah, well.
Can't doubt myself like less than a week after what I've drafted.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just doubting myself because I didn't probably pick enough cover at some positions. But anyway, let's move on to some of the listener questions. The first one comes from AFL Keeper Corner. When you're assessing a draftee young player in the first couple of games, what key areas do you look out for? Do you have an opinion on this? I've got one.
Great question, actually.
Yeah.
I sort of do. I kind of look at role, but I also just look at the kind of player they are and sort of that inside outside, what they could be, what role they're playing.
Yeah.
Especially kind of look at what player they were at a younger level.
Yeah.
And where they played and stuff like that. So
For me, the biggest one is, are they best 22 and do they look like a lock in the best 22? Because we can only keep 12 in our league. So like a first year player, it's very hard to actually keep in our league. So like if they don't look like they're going to be consistently playing, there's really no point keeping them because you're hamstringing yourself with the keepers. So like obviously that depends on if you're in a dynasty type thing. I guess it still kind of helps. Like I have really low expectations in the first year. I think the last few years we've been kind of spoilt by Nick Dacos, Harry Sheasel, McKercher, those guys coming in, Ashcroft. But even Ashcroft was all right. He was like an 80.
Yeah.
Was he high 70s in the first year or 80, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
But he wasn't like an elite. Like in our league, if you're not averaging over 80, it makes it very hard to make a case.
well, you can't
to
put them.
keep.
You can't field them. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
like
yeah.
unless they're forwards, maybe you can field them for a 65, 70.
Yeah, so like the teams that do the best in our league are the ones that just don't worry about youth and just try to pick the best team each year and kind of almost approach it like a single season draft where you're just trying to pick the best 22 players. Like they're the teams that generally go the best in our league. So like that's probably one thing. But again, that depends on dynasty. Like Sorry, depends on type of league. In my dynasty league, it's a very different outlook, and it's pretty similar to you. Yeah, it's like what type of junior scorer they are, and are they getting a similar role to that junior scoring that they might be able to replicate it at senior level.
Yeah.
I think.
I also kind of look at the team around them, and so if you're looking at someone that might play half back, I sort of look at who's currently playing half back in that role, what their scoring is, because it's normally they're going to pick up their numbers. So
and how far off they are from like taking over that role.
Yeah, exactly. And then you tend to see a trend of maybe these young players come in, they'll play forward, or they'll play high half forward, they'll play a half back or something like that. And then like you said, if they're best 22, normally it's like it's that they're too good for the VFL, but they're not good enough to get the starting midfield role. So they put them in another role, and then they can eventually add in. But there's a fair bit that goes into it. And then also eye test as well. I feel like
these look like a classy player. Yeah,
sometimes you like for Finn O'Sullivan, like you look when you watch him play, maybe his numbers aren't elite, but you think he just looks like a really classy player, good footballer. Like he's just someone that eventually would get that role and move on to something like that.
The next question comes from your brother, Jordan D'Sena. Is it too early to call Lockie Ash too good for the pod? I'm going to give him one more week, but
one more.
I reckon he's very, very close.
Well, seeing as Geordie's asked me for Dacos for him, he must be too good for the pod, I'd say. So.
Maybe, yeah. I just want to make sure he backs up before I do tick it off, but I've got a feeling it's going to be ticked off.
Consistency.
That's always been his thing. Yeah, always been his thing. Like he puts up a big score, but then he might go missing for a bit. But Mortada wants to know opening round, rate it or hate it?
I'm not a massive fan.
I hate it.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I don't even know if I like footy that much, to be honest.
He's like fantasy.
I love fantasy. And with fan, I often wonder that there'll never be a circumstance where this is the case. But like, if fantasy didn't exist, would I watch as much footy as I do? And I don't think I would.
Nah,
to be
especially wouldn't watch, North Melbourne on a Sunday.
Yeah, no, absolutely no way. Like, I'm not watching Sandful, and that's football. Like I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going that far. I might go to the grand final for the experience, like with my son, or just kind of. But I wouldn't go to a mid-season game or watch it on TV or anything like that. So I feel like, for me, and this is a very different opinion to most people. Most people just hate it because it's not in Victoria or whatever, but I just hate it because there's no fantasy. Like, it just ruins the format.
Or it just doesn't feel like it's the opening round, because not everyone's playing. So,
but then you look at the game yesterday, like the opening bounce. There's so many empty seats. Yeah, like, do you really want that for the opening round, or do you want like rabid, 90,000 fans at that MCG type thing screaming? Maybe get rid of Richmond playing in the first game of the week, but
they're no good. So.
Yeah.
But they have been good. It's funny because Sam Taylor gave away a 50 and then he got booed, and I was like,
all the Collingwood supporters,
all the Collingwood fans are up in Sydney, so they do travel well. But I agree. I wouldn't mind. I saw Michael Voss say something how you give every other state 2 games and Victoria gets 1 game. So it's like WA get 2, West Coast 3 get a home game.
Equalise it.
Port and Crows get a home game. Sydney and Giants get a home. Brisbane and then Victoria just get 1 game. And that way everyone has opening round.
And if you really want to bump up the Queensland and New South Wales market, give them the primetime slots as well. Like, so that'll get the television, the eyeballs and that sort of stuff as well. So, I think there's ways you can kind of work around it and still kind of achieve your goal.
Now with the bye rounds, the early bye rounds, Gold Coast are playing 2 games at the end of the year with Essendon. Like,
ridiculous. It's fucked everything.
They could just, I don't know, I feel like they could have just handled it a little bit better. But at the end of the day, they're trying to grow the game out there. So
it's, I don't like it. Anyway, at Observer AFL, he's got 2 questions here, but they're both very similar. Sam Banks or Harvey Gallagher, who scores more this season?
I really like Sam Banks.
I'm Banks as well. I know I'm a Harvey Gallagher man, but I think the circumstances for Banks are a lot better than Gallagher's.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Halfback.
Not to say Gallagher won't be solid, but I just think Sam Banks, he's got a big 151 in the VFL. And I
feel like you've got Vlosten, who is approaching the end, and I think they're kind of grooming him to kind of be that halfback distributor that he is. So they're going to be putting a lot of time into him this year. Yeah. Whereas
Short's old as Short's 30.
Yeah, 29 or something like that. But whereas Harvey Gallagher, like the Dogs, they should really know where they're at with all their injuries and stuff like that. But I feel like they still believe they're a chance and that sort of stuff. And they'll play their best team. And
they're going for trying to make finals and push. And
I think that probably Dale and Frieger are ahead of Gallagher at the moment.
Frieger looked very good.
Yeah. And I feel like as well, Harvey Gallagher might not even end up on that half-back line as well.
I agree.
That's why I'm more of a Sam Banks man in there in terms of scoring. Same question though, who scores more out of Dylan Shield or Ollie Hollands?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
They're pretty... Pretty sort of same kind of average, I think. I'm going to go Hollands because I'm not sure Dylan Shield stays there all year.
I'm thinking total score.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious it's Ollie Hollands, I reckon, because I reckon after round 10 we might not see either Shield not in that role or maybe not even in the side. So
correct.
Like, I feel like they might just end up moving Martin.
He did look good.
Something.
He did look good v Geelong in the trial game, Shield did. So, he scored well, but we see it all the time. I remember when, Sexton was back there for Gold Coast and Zach Fisher and a lot of guys that go back and then maybe doesn't work for after 5 or 6 games and they get moved on and they try something else. So,
well, I reckon Shield might be the 2025 Alex Sexton. So, yeah.
It's a good call.
Very relevant question from Drobson FPL. Are Toffees winning the league? So, for those who don't know, I'm an Everton supporter. I think I put out a video and I was wearing my Everton shirt the other day, so that's maybe where this came from. I do post about Everton on Instagram a fair bit as well, share a few reels. So, and the answer to that question is yes. Since David Moyes has taken over, I think we were unbeaten in 8 games.
Absolutely humming.
And I think we could even finish 10th as a result.
You see that? I think there's a chance you might play European football, like the top 11 sides in the Prem.
They're all a
might
chance.
all be playing if someone wins the Champions League and someone wins this. And
well, your boys Arsenal have fallen away. Couldn't get over Manchester United. This morning.
I didn't even watch the game.
Oh, sorry about that. I've spoiled the result. For
I saw the score. I just haven't watched the highlights. It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
I watched it this morning.
I'm in the Champions League now, so
that's all you got to focus on.
Hopefully we can try and win that.
Yeah. Anyway, move back to AFL here. Draft Bible wants to know, does Josh Dacos average more than Nick Dacos this year?
Oh, tough one. He did look pretty good.
I reckon they're both going 100 plus this year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nick had cramp in his hammy or cramp in his calf. Or
the thing with Nick is he's the tag target each week. And he's... it's not even the cramp. Like, he'll get over that. Like, it's just from playing early, hot day, all that sort of stuff.
And Bedford's, I reckon he's one of the best taggers. Yeah. Because his speed's just ridiculous.
Can't get away from him.
And Nick looked all right, looked good. Yeah. And then just think when maybe the game was starting to go, he just sort of...
The thing is, I just don't think you're going to get an odd 64-point game out of Josh Dacos.
Nah, not in that role.
Yeah.
He's just going to junk up.
I reckon I'd still back Nick in, but I reckon it's going to be like a 102 to Josh and like a 105 to Nick average or something like that.
Round about the mark.
Yeah. So Nick but Josh is going to have the biggest uptick in improvement, bigger uptick in improvement and DPP.
Josh will probably be cheaper to buy off other people because Nick's this prodigy. So
I'd be very happy if I have Josh Dacos this season for sure. This is a kind of tricky one as well. The last question is at Diddley Docker. What's your order of Will Ashcroft, Callahan, Day, Powell, and Chera for a single season draft? I'm going to put Day 1, I reckon. Day and Callahan, I'm finding hard to fit. Like, I do like Ashcroft as well, but that midfield is very deep, I think. And even at the end of last year, I know he was recovering from the ACL. There was a big grand final performance, but it still wasn't huge ceiling before that. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Just performed on the day.
Yeah,
which you can do. I'd have Chera last.
Yeah, same. It's going to be it's very close between Day, Ashcroft, and Callahan, I think. And I think with Callahan, maybe with Green coming back doesn't go as well. Whereas we saw Day in a full strength midfield and he still put up a monster score.
Well, out of all them, Day's the number one. You know what I mean? Everyone else is probably the second or third banana within their midfield. So to me, I'd go Day.
Who would you pick out of Callahan and Ashcroft for this season?
Callahan.
Same. Yeah. So we'll agree it's there. I think we'll go Ashcroft next. Yeah. Then Powell, then Chera.
Yeah.
Work for you?
Yeah.
Cool.
I love Tom Powell.
So do I. I wish I had him.
I'd traded him away. So.
Yeah. No, what it could have been. Anyways, we'll wrap up the show there this week. Thanks heaps for coming on, Matty, and doing the podcast. Mate. You're at short notice as well, so that was very helpful that you could put your hand up. So
anytime, mate. No worries at all.
Anyways, get around us on our socials at Keeper League Pod on all the major ones there. Check out Keeper Fantasy if you haven't started your draft yet, or you're only going to get going after round 0, which probably does make sense for some people. You can still do your draft there, so make a team, make a league, and join up there. And thank you to SC Rings for their support over the preseason. There's a link in the description below for their products to buy yourself a championship ring for your Keeper League. Anyways, that'll do this week, and we'll be back next week when fantasy actually starts.
Very good. Let's go.
See you later.